Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a brand new episode on the Gsxr. So hopefully in this one, we're going to get this thing running and I cannot wait for that. I'm really excited to get this thing running, get it all tuned in, dialed in and just get out and enjoy it. So what we're going to do in this episode is I've got a couple of tyres for the bike that I need to get fitted. So what I'm going to do is whip the wheels off, get those tyres fitted, and then we've got no worries there because they've been on the bike for quite some time now, and the rear one has got a nice big flat spot in it, and it's also got the valve is leaking in the back there, so we want to take care of that and get that sorted. We've got the fuel tank as well, which we need to get the tank cap out of, which has decided to seize itself in there. We also want to give that a real good clean, make sure there's no dirt and contaminants and grub in there, give it all a wash out, reseal it and make sure we're all okay there before we put it back on the bike, because what we don't want to do is fill this thing full of all the contaminants from the tank on all that hard work that we've done so far. We've also got a front sprocket for it, so I can go ahead, pop the front sprocket on. When the wheel's back on, I can pop that chain and everything on, get all that adjusted, finish all this bit up, and then we're all okay there. Once we've got the bike running, we can check for leaks and do all those bits and pieces that we need to before we're going to put the fairings back on. And then hopefully we can get out, as I say, get it MOT'd and enjoy it. So what I'm going to start with first is just popping those front and rear wheel off, and then we're going to look at getting some new tyres on there. So we've now taken the wheels off and we've put the bike on two paddock stands. As you can see with the back wheel here, I mentioned that flat spot. That wheel actually stays up like that on its own. So what we're going to do now is just take those down to the tyre shop and get them swapped over. So I'm now going to turn my attention to cleaning the fuel tank, and basically what I've started by doing is I've taken out the plug here, I've taken off the pipe that was on here, and I've also taken out the valve, and I've just put a bit of parcel tape under the bottom there, followed by some masking tape, just so that I'm going to put these back on, but when we put the solution in, I just don't want it to come back out of there, and I don't want to clog up that freshly clean valve that we've done in a previous episode. So if I flip the tank over, we've also managed to get the fuel cap out. So what I did with this was all seized in, so I undid the 4 bolts here, and then that allowed me to lift this section up a little bit. And then what I used was actually a carpentry biscuit, and I just popped that down in the side there, and then that allowed me to put a screwdriver in between the two without marking any of the tank. There is some oil and bits and pieces on there, but without marking any of the tank, I was able to get that off. Unfortunately, it did end up breaking a little piece on the inside here, so I've just gone ahead and got myself another fuel cap. So we've got a nice new one so that we know that we're not going to have any issues there. So what we're going to concentrate on doing now is just reading the instructions. So this is the stuff that I've gone for here. This is just some stuff I got off the internet, and what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description, and then we've just got the basic guidance here. So we're just going to run through, give that a read, and then just make sure that we're following all of that as we should, and we can give this a real good clean rinse out, and then following that we've got some sealer that goes in there afterwards. So what we're going to do now is get through the instructions, get this solution mixed up with the water that it recommends, and then we can leave that to sit, to soak and do what it needs to. It's now been a couple of days since we were last working on the bike, and we've managed to just drain out the first part of the cleaning solution on the tank here. What we've then gone ahead and done is just rinsed it all out with water. I'm then going to go ahead and put in the second part, which is the sealer. It just recommends pouring that in as it comes in the bottle, swilling that round within the tank, and then rinsing that out and just leaving it to dry. We also managed to get the tyres fitted, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is pop the wheels back on, chuck that front sprocket back on there. That'll allow me to put all the chain on and tension that up, get all the wheels tight, and then at least worst case scenario, if we can't get it started, it's a damn sight easier to push it round in and out the garage. Just going to go ahead and tighten the brake calipers. So I'm just torquing up the axle shaft now, and then the 2 little pinch bolts, and then that'll be the front wheel all on and sorted with the new tyre. Then we can move on to the back. So now I've got the wheel on, I'm just going to go ahead and measure the chain slack, get that all tensioned, all adjusted nicely, and then just make sure that that wheel is true, and then we can go ahead and tighten the wheel down. So I'm just going ahead there, pumping the pads out, making sure they're all right, and then I'm just making sure that the wheel's running true. I've got both sides of the adjusters marked up in the same location. We've now tightened the wheel, so all the wheel's on and all the tyres are now done. I've now gone ahead and popped all of the tank on. We put a new filter in the tank valve. We've put a new fuel cap on there as well, tightened that all in and got that sorted. I've popped the seat on, and I've just put the 2 mounting screws or bolts in the back of the fuel tank here, and I've only done them up loosely because what I don't want to do is do them up too tight, because in a moment I'm going to be taking the tank back off when I look to balance the carbs. So I've managed to find the keys as well, which is great. So what I'm going to do now is turn it over without any fuel in it and see how that goes, and then hopefully we can then look at adding some fuel and go for the first start. Ignition on, I'm going to pull in the clutch. So that's great, it seems to turn over nicely. We're just going to carry on doing that a few more times, get the oil pumped around the engine, pop a bit of fuel in, and we go for the first start. I just want to double check as well, just to make sure that there's nothing in the way, that when it does finally start, gets caught up in anything. So I'm just going to double check that as well. Okay, so we've put the fuel in now. So here goes nothing, fingers crossed, it starts. Just checking I haven't got any fuel pouring out the bottom. No, we don't seem to. Come on, come on. Oh, it's so close. Oh, nearly. Yes, get in there. Yes, check that out. Oh, that is brilliant. So I've just got the throttle slightly on. I'm just letting it all cycle round a bit. If you can hear me, that is. Oh, that is absolutely brilliant. Oh, I can't believe that. Brilliant. Great. So what I'm going to do now is I might run it for a little bit longer and then take the choke off and see if it idles nicely. I know that it won't idle particularly well because, as we said numerous times in the video, we've got to balance the carbs. What I am going to do is I'm going to take that over to my friend's workshop to do that, because I don't really want to upset the neighbours too much having this thing running while trying to do all those bits. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is turn the camera off, leave it running for a little bit longer, maybe pop the door open a bit, and then we'll cut back in when we're over at my friend's workshop, and then we can get this dialed in, hopefully get those carbs set up right, and then maybe take it for its first little drive up and down the lane there. So I'm now over at my friend's workshop. I'm sorry about the lighting. I was going to try and do this outside, but every time I try and do some filming or get set up outside, it decides to rain. So what I've done this morning is I've gone ahead and I've taken all the fairing off of the back here. I'm going to check the level here for the coolant and also the coolant at the front here. And then once I've sorted all of that out, I've gone ahead and I've popped the vacuum gauges on here, which is why I've lifted the tank up slightly to give me access. I'm going to be looking at getting one of those detachable tanks, or like the fuel socks that you can use. So if anybody's got a recommendation for one of those, please pop it in the comments, because I need to get one of those, so when I'm doing this sort of thing I'm not struggling with the tank off the bike. I can use one of those additional fuel tanks. So yeah, I've now warmed the bike up after checking all the levels, left it running for quite a while. I've adjusted the idle down to what the manufacturer recommends, and then what I'm going to be doing from here on is just adjusting the carbs so that I get a nice balance across all four. So I'm going to go ahead and crack on with that. We've managed to now get all of the carbs balanced. It could be quite a fiddly job and quite time consuming, so I didn't go through and film that bit, but we've got great throttle response. We've adjusted all of those. We've now got the idle running nicely as well. So as you've just seen in the video, I've just popped up the lane and back just to make sure that I've got good throttle response. I'm not getting any low spots there at all at a lower speed. Obviously I'll look to road test it properly in the future once we get the MOT on there, but I just wanted to make sure for where we are now, we all seem to be okay. I also ran the bike right up to temperature, the cooling fan cut in, which is brilliant. Everything's circulating as it should do. We don't seem to have any fluid or oil leaks or anything like that. So I think the next thing we're going to do is just start looking to put all of these panels back on, giving those a clean on the inside as we go, and then I'll give the final wash off of the bike once it's all back together, and then we can do some slow-mo shots afterwards and you can have a real good look at what we've ended up with. Just working my way through putting all the panels back on, and as luck would have it, I found these ones over in the corner and I've accidentally forgot to put these back on. So these just sit up under the tank there. So I've just loosened the tank off. I'm going to loosen this bit back off and pop those back in. So that's it, guys. We've finally got to a point where we can get out and enjoy this Gsxr. I've got one final thing left to do, which is get it through the MOT, but I don't see that being too much of an issue. I have got it booked in, but we are in a bit of a queue. As you can see, the sun's starting to pop out and everybody's doing the same thing. So we've just got to wait our turn, and then hopefully we can get out there and put a few miles on it. I'm not too worried about this thing being immaculate. I want it to be something that I can get on, ride and enjoy and not be too worried about it. So I really hope that you've enjoyed watching this series and this video, and if you have, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and you'll have to wait and see what we've got in store on the next one.